As the prophets told, the star is come, and the angels sing for joy. Yet the dark of doubt confounds the day. How quickly blindness clouds the way. Then the mountains fell, the cities burned, raging thunder rent the sky. What a mournful wail filled up the air, and the mist turned day to night. But the Father said, behold my Son, I am well pleased, now hear ye him. The shadows flee, his quiet voice, come see the light of hope descend. Be free of doubt and arise, and touch his wounds and fall at his feet, the lost reclaim. Come see the light. Though slain he lives, the Lamb of God. Go touch the Prince and know. Kneel at his feet and worship him. For your soul he drank the cup. Hosanna with one accord. Blessed the name, the Most High God. The shadows flee, his quiet voice, come see the light of hope descend. Be free of doubt and arise, come touch his wounds and fall at his feet, the lost reclaim. Come see the light. He is Alpha, Omega. He is the light and life of the world. Build on his rock and break the gates of hell, and enter with him. The shadows flee, his quiet voice, come see the light of hope descend. Be free of doubt and arise, come touch his wounds and fall at his feet.
Okay, guys, my apologies. Sorry, I forgot that my microphone wasn't working quite well over there. So let me bounce out of here. My apologies. I forgot to unmute my microphone, and then wouldn't you know it, the internet kicks off. So now I'm having to do it on my phone. So here we go. So we got Cohen joining us. We got Jason. And we have Ananda.
Hey.
You know, I'm so sorry, guys. I forgot my mic was muted right when I got done playing that beautiful video. So everybody, thank you for being here tonight. Oh, I'm telling you, if it's not one thing or another. Anyways, that video, as I was trying to tell you guys, I wanted to play that video for you all because I wanted those of you that have never had that audience in front of a Christ to have that experience. And so that's a good visualization of what potentially to have that audience, what the Christ could be like, to be in front of God is just absolutely amazing. And so I wanted to share that tender, precious moment with everybody itself. So anyways, now that I'm unmuted, thank you. We got Americans in Action with us again tonight for another amazing night. I'm so grateful for y'all. Woo-hoo! Yeah. Oh, so I was having internet issues, so I had to bounce off my laptop. Now I'm on my phone. So it's kind of weird how that works out, but it is what it is. So anyways, you know what? I'm grateful for Cohen being here tonight because he has an amazing story to share with everybody. I mean, I'm telling you what, my heart is grateful for what this man has just been able to accomplish with the help of you guys, Ananda, and Jason, Christo. It's actually divine intervention. If and I'm not going to say it's anything less than that, honestly.
No. No, I am floating on cloud nine. It's such a amazing experience to be a child of God, resting in the hands of the sovereign Creator. And I have been able to experience that in such a tangible way this week. And I have so much gratitude and so much joy. Yeah, this is the first time I've seen your face, Ananda, since we've had the great news. So woohoo!
Yeah, it's time for a celebration for sure. And champagne or sparkling cider, whatever, it's time for a toast because
yeah,
it's just, energy in action. It's it's Americans in action, actually creating kingdom of heaven on earth. So it's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, ML. Thanks for having us. I feel
Thank you.
Tonight. I'm so excited.
Well, I am. I'm telling you, I can't contain my spirit right now. My heart is so full. I know it appears that we have some dark days ahead of us, but honestly, they're the end of days for the dark ones. It's the beginning of days for those of light, and we're that, And I'm grateful, and I have to share this with everybody. See, I was sick last week, and I kind of kept it under wraps. I had a serious infection, serious 2 infections. I'm not sure how, but I had some supernatural events happen, I think, where I contracted these infections. I wouldn't doubt if the spells were put on me or something to that effect, because I always shield myself. I'm always placing shields of protection around me, But I ended up getting some very serious infections, and I never get sick. I'm really healthy, actually. And I want to say thank you, Ananda, because you checked in on me a lot. So did CB's daughter, Healing by Intuition. I've had a group of people that were checking in on me, making sure that I was okay, provided me assistance in recommendations and counsel, in holistic therapies and method and modalities, which I utilize. And so I feel that the infections they're under control. I feel 100% better than what I was feeling actually 2 days ago. So my energies, my vibration is up. So thank you for, being a beloved family and checking on me and extolling your love for me and having me in your prayers. I felt it and I needed that. So thank you so very much, guys.
Thank you too. Thank you too. Yeah, we were with you throughout this whole thing. And I want to share with you, Christo has a very important meeting this evening, and it's a very exciting time right now. And we're actually at this really magical place. It's historical, and I'm not going to tell you where we're at, but just know that it's amazing, and a lot of fabulous things are happening right now on the planet and in the hearts of the lovers of God and truth and all that is good for unity and the lifting of the veil. So
Oh,
he sends his love to all of you.
yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How are you
Send him
doing,
all
Jay?
love, too. We're in support, and I just want to agree right now in the name of God that wherever Christo is, that he would be full of favor with both God and man, and that the doors would be flung wide open, that opportunity and that divine appointment would be completely in a line with the kingdom of God. And we just bless you for the conduit, for the portal of heaven that Christo is. And we speak that that just the supernatural dunamos power of God be manifest in everything that he touches, everything that he speaks to, and everything that he has authority by the Spirit of God to have dominion over would be in perfect alignment with your will. And so be it, and so be it.
So be it, so it is. Wow.
Jay,
Wow.
how are you doing, brother?
Oh, it's good to see you. Thank you, Emma. I'm glad you're doing better. Cohen, that was phenomenal, spoken just like a Cohen meme. That was beautiful. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I'm forgive me for my lighting and stuff. I'm trying to find, I'm on my phone as well. I'm going, we gotta make it go right. So I might walk around and find another background throughout the thing here, but I'm just happy to be
Actually,
here.
you look good there, brother. That's
Does it
actually
look
good
okay?
ambiance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't tell. I'm just like, oh, we just got to make it go right. And unless I'll just make it go right. I was like, I'm doing it. I'm going to find a way to do it. But I'm just happy to be here and excited about Cohen's win, excited to be here, that you're healthy, ML. And there is very many beautiful transformations on the planet right now. I actually just got off the phone with somebody that we're working with, and we were basically talking about creating the new earth through the administrative process, creating our own documents, and realizing that the only way these the matrix can exist is through their agreement and through their documents. And as soon as you challenge those things, the entire Babylonian structure collapses on its face, and they don't know what to do. And I said, well, that's the beautiful thing, because now we come in and we create from zero gravity, and now we create the new earth, which has always been.
Yes. Heaven on earth. Divine ones, we're manifesting heaven on earth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's I'm telling you, I'm just an emotional wreck right now.
Yeah, it's been pretty powerful. We were on another Zoom meeting earlier this morning, and talking a lot about our upcoming event in Philadelphia, as well as other upcoming events that are happening. And people are just so excited and thirsty for wisdom. And they think that it's this changing your status or whatever it is, or documents or forms. But really, the theme of it was, for anything to really transpire in the physical, it begins here. It begins inside of you. And you are that new kingdom of heaven. And anything that is a derivative from you knowing who you are is following suit. And so everybody on the the podcast or whatever it was that we were on today was just blown away, because they're thirsty for this wisdom, and they realize that even in law, substance over form takes precedence, and the substance is who you are inside. And when you realize that and you remember and put back together that who you truly are, which is a son or daughter of the highest kingdom of heaven, then it doesn't matter what your forms are, and then you create it. And that's been the theme all day, and it's just so beautiful.
Oh, wow, that is amazing. Oh, I'm grateful. I am grateful. And I am anxious to hear, what's going on with Christo in this divine meeting that he's in.
It's an exciting time on the planet.
It is.
Let's see. Gosh, if I repeat anything that Jay said, I apologize. There's just a little bit of some background noise, but I know he was talking about substance over form, and we actually had someone call us this week and was saying, do you have a form? Do you have a form I can fill out? I'm like, oh, so, I need to remember patience when working with people, because everybody's at where they're at, and we're so in the mindset of filling out a form. And in the kingdom of heaven, we create. We are extensions of God Almighty, who is the ultimate creator. So we get to use this creativity to be divine and unique, each one of us. So the being sovereign is such a beautiful thing, because of that creativity. And then we put that into the manifest world. And when we remember our connection with our creator, and then we put that into the form, we create magic. And that's what Cohen did recently. And he's had great successes. And it works. It works. It works. It works. And it's not hard. In fact, it's so simple you could miss it. And that's the frustrating thing, is people, we are so conditioned to believe that life needs to be complicated, that creating solutions needs to be complicated. And when we go back to the basics, it is so simple. And I mean, almost every class we teach, we bring up the fact that the law boils down to two things. Like, it is so simple. Do no harm to other people or their property, right? And keep your promises. And keeping your promises, that's the basis of contract law. That's contract law. We make an agreement and we stick to our agreement. So keep your word, and your word is your bond. And that's it. It's so simple. Like, oh my gosh. So all you viewers, you know the law more than most attorneys. It's really that simple.
I love it. True principles.
Mm-hmm.
And because it is true, and because it's based off of a foundation of truth and light, it's constant, and nothing can diminish it, nothing can tear it down at all, because it comes from God.
That's right.
I mean, that's the best foundation that we can ever start from, first and foremost. Right. Cohen, all right, so let's get into your amazing news, and I don't know how much you want to share, but I would love for you to, whatever you feel comfortable sharing with, because it is personal information and whatnot like that. So, but I want you to be able to at least help people understand, the amazing things that happened this last week for you, if you don't mind. You're muted, brother.
Absolutely. I'd be honored. Sorry about that. I'd be honored to share and to kind of set a backdrop on this, I have understood or understood the concept of standing, and that's something that has been very near and dear to my heart for a long time. Since I was very young, I remember, standing up to bullies that I had no business standing up to with my physical stature, but there was something just inside of me that knew what was happening around me was unjust. And if someone wasn't going to speak up, then it had to be me. And that was the eternal law, trust law. No trust can fail for want of trustee. And that was just burning inside of me. So this is something that I've known inside of me, but the way that it has been able to be expressed has only been in the language and the concepts that have been programmed into my own mind through growing up in this world, in this fallen world. And that's a world of strife and fighting. And so the way that I knew how to articulate that in expression was through somebody else's form of conflict. And that's not from heaven, that's not from the kingdom of God, but it's where we are. And that was what I was perceiving. And so that was what I was expressing. And I've stood in courtrooms for years now, and I'm sure I've given a lot of bile in the throats of judges. I am completely guilty as charged of being a thorn in their side in the ways that I've stood in conflict. And with just the new age that we're in, and with the revelation and impartation that I've been able to receive through being teachable and being humble and being able to say, Ananda, I need help. I have something in my heart, but it's not expressing the way that I see it. And she really gave me, above everything else, the permission to have substance over form is exactly what you said. And it's almost like if you were, we are creators. We know this. We've been over this, that we are in the image of God, creator. And when we feel as though we have to fill out the form, go to the DMV and fill out your application or fill out this form, we are forcing pure creative energy, pure God presence into a binary system of conflict and liability and all these lower concepts, and we're forcing that creative being into these limited belief systems. And so most of the the court paperwork and the filings that I've made, in full disclosure, I've always borrowed from something else, and hopefully this will work. And for the first time in any of my filings, I was able to put into action, by pure expression of what is in my heart, not following any form or any other type, but just communicating the truth that's inside. And by doing that in a way where I'm not bound to say it in the way that I think that it should be said, or that I'm told it should be said, but to just say it from the heart, that's the thing that's been the most simple. It's been so empowering because I've been able to find my voice. I know that I have a powerful voice, but to be able to find that in my pen as well, and to find that power in there, and to be able to just express it, suddenly the chains broke, and all of the things that had been on my back, that monkey on my back, suddenly I look around and it's not there anymore, and there's nothing that's is oppressing me. And even just the last couple of 2 days, I've had some additional correspondence because now I have momentum. And so just by simply asking those two questions of law that you pointed out, Ananda, is do no harm and honor your promises, keep your word. And just by simply asking that force that comes against us to honor your word. Where is your oath? You know, tell me the oath that you've taken. Show me the promises that you've made, and make good on that. Silence. Silence. There's no more coming back and quick remarks and arguing. It's just silence. They completely yield when you just point out, here's the right thing, and honor your promise. And when we just bring it down to those two simple things, it's been silence, and it's been amazing. But to give you more specifics on my situation, if I can continue, I don't want to eat up all of your time, but about 14 months ago, I was pulled over by some road pirates, and they were fishing for booty that they could steal. And they do that through very deceptive language and trying to trick their victims into entering into contract, because there's a law that you know, it all has to be by consent, and so there's very deceptive ways in which they do this. And I had the I was in the position of being a passenger, a bystander in this particular traffic stop, and was able to see what was happening. I have some experience from some of my past profession of resisting exploitation from hostage situations, and also in governmental peacetime situations, corrupt cops. You know, I used to teach the Department of Defense how to avoid getting into contract with corrupt cops. And so I'm watching this situation unfold, and it was completely unjust what was happening to the lady who was operating the motor vehicle, the automobile. And I intervened verbally. I intervened, and I informed the road pirate that he was outside of his jurisdiction, that he was violating due process, and he was using coercion to try and elicit a contract. And unfortunately, the situation was not received well by this road pirate. He took it as a challenge, and took personal offense to it, and made it his next agenda to really punish us for making that kind of stand. And so it escalated. I ended up being tased, and there was a window broken, and people were dragged out of the vehicle. It was really violent, and I ended up spending 5 months incarcerated. They were calling me mentally unstable for daring to stand up for our rights, and so they were continuing to hold me. Well, I was able to break out of that. God gave me some insight while I was in, and ways to communicate, and I was able to undo all of that and get out, and then start really forming a strategy on how I was going to expose what happened. And then Ananda came in, and we were able to have some great conversations about it. They were actually, before all that started, I was able to pull off of their website a very useful tool. And I will recommend anybody who is dealing with any type of assault on your being, on your rights, on your sovereign rights, to go look at their website. They've got, under their affidavit section, they've got some amazing tools specifically for the jab, if we can say that, dealing with those types of coercion events, where in your employment, if you might be in a situation where you're being coerced to do something against your better judgment. There's some amazing research, and there's some amazing affidavits that you can give whoever is transgressing against you. Well, I pulled down one of those affidavits, and I was like, this is perfect. And so I put some language in there, and I put the truth and the law that I know into it, and I got things moving in action, and I served these road pirates an affidavit of truth, of unrebutted truth. There's no way that they could rebut anything because it was only facts. That you don't have to be very knowledgeable in law. If you just speak truth, it just stands on its own. And so I put this into an affidavit. I swore under oath to it, and I served it to them via U.S. Postal Service. And silence. They didn't rebut it. It was just no quiet, no response. It was completely quiet. Well, after 21 days, an unrebutted affidavit stands as fact. It's truth. If it's not rebutted, if it's not contested, if no one contested it, and they had an opportunity to contest it, and I can prove that I gave them the opportunity to contest it, and they still declined, that's a default judgment. And so I was able to take that default judgment and with some trust language, communicating to the trustee at the court, and just explained what was happening to me and that the trust had been under attack. And I just asked them to do what their responsibility is, to honor their oath, right? To honor your oath and defend the trust. And I sent a follow-up letter to them, and I don't know, because I hadn't figured out how to really find out the status of the case until last week. So I don't know if it happened immediately after the first letter or if it took 2 letters for it to happen. But I've got a slide here. I'd love to share the audio recording, if I may, of the conversation that I had with the court. And I'm going to try and pull it up here. Let me see if I can. I don't know, ML, are you able to help me? Can you see my presentation? It's called Presentation 3.
Well, because I'm on my phone and not on the laptop, the application is different on the phone than it is on the laptop. Perhaps before you came in as, let's see here. Let me see something, brother.
Present, slides. Oh, there we go. I got it. Let me see if I can do this. Maybe not. Well, there's another way to do this. I've got my iPad here, and I'm certain that the audio I can turn up here loud enough for everybody to hear. So I called the last week, and just to give you a background, it's very important whenever you call the court to really be careful about what you speak. I know Ananda and Jason can talk about that, because there is a very there will be an attempt to try and trick you, and you want to have exactly what you want to speak, very, very clear. So anyways, I did that. I followed their advice. My groups.
I want to thank you so much. You're being so honoring. I was the one who shared the information, but I'm nothing without my team. I'm nothing without my family. We are one, and we all know and share this wisdom. We look over documents together. I don't do this by myself. And I'll tell you, Christo, Madalena, Jason, my beloved family, ML, Cohen, you're my family now too, but I'll tell you, it takes a village. Yeah. It takes a village. So we put all our brains together, and we create roadmaps for success. And so that's that unity that God wants us to live in. And so thank you so much. And I really heartfelt appreciate your compliments, but I just have to extend those to my beloved family as well.
Yeah, I recognize that too. And Jason, we've been on the phone too, and Christo. So it's been absolutely that. It's obvious that it's a family and it's a team. And yeah, so here's the good news. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and play this.
Hi, Julie. Is this call being recorded?
Can you hear that?
It is.
I consent to that. Do you consent to me recording it as well?
Yeah, I have no problem.
All right, awesome. I'm assistant of counsel referencing 430-2021 CR 00626, and I have just a couple of questions. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay.
I am looking to find out who is the senior clerk of court over that matter.
Who's the clerk of Conway?
Yeah, the senior clerk of court over that matter.
Right. Well, it'll be the clerk of the Conway District Court. Okay, the clerk of court is Elaine Lowe.
And can you spell that for me?
Yep, Lowe.
Lowe. All right, and then what is the status?
On this case, it's closed.
It's closed?
Yep.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hallelujah.
Oh my goodness! So it's closed, and this was a case that was scheduled to go to trial next month, right? It was, and I posted on my channel the document that was a notice of trial hearing scheduled for 8:30 on December 1st. I'm not going. Never had to go into court. Never had to fight for my rights. I never had to argue with a judge. I'm just not going. It's close. And so
yes. So let me preface this real quick. So the people that are listening to this, so there's some new people here, and I'm seeing it in the comments. So they're not quite sure probably what we're talking about. So in short, Brother Cohen had to go to court the 1st of December. He had to appear before court on 3 different charges, trumped up charges, but he had to appear nonetheless because he utilized American in Actions and the divine team there at Americans in Action, okay? Because he utilized their counsel, he called the court to find out the status of these court case that's coming up. They said, there isn't any. It's done. It's discharged. It's gone. So you guys, because he utilized the Council of Americans in Action, he didn't even have to get to the point of going to the court. That is profound. So there is so much proof right there that when you do things through God's way, through trust and common law, all things are possible. When you always stand in truth, as Christo says, as you always stand in truth, you'll always come out. So there you go. Hallelujah as well.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And it just shows to Goyu that we don't belong in that world. That's the world of controversy and conflict, where everything they do is to get you to engage in fight. And I'll say it again, I'll say it a million times. It's united we stand. It's not united we fight. So when we lay down our swords and we turn the other cheek, as Jesus spoke of, Yeshua ben Joseph, if you will, he spoke of that. He didn't mean to be cowards, right? He meant for us to stand, develop our standing, and that takes great courage. So you have to have the kingdom of heaven running through you for you to even be able to do these processes. So, Jay says a lot. I'm not sure if he's having connectivity issues, but I'll check on him here in a second. But
here.
Anyway, but oh shoot, here he comes again. Okay, great.
There
and I
you
lost
go.
my train of thought, but. The kingdom of heaven is within us, and it does give us strength. I know what I was going to say. Okay, so Jay often says, do you know who you are? Which is so imperative, because if you don't know who you are, you don't know how to stand. But for people who are developing their standing, we are all getting to know ourselves. It doesn't just happen like that. It's not just, oh, you're standing and you got this. It's standing is something you develop over time, but it's something that should be taught in schools all around the world, how to develop your standing. Because if you're ever in a situation where you do need to stand, you better know how to do it. And you can do it peacefully and lawfully, so you don't get yourself under their, bus. It's because their bus is designed it's designed to run over you. There's actually a term for it, and they call it railroading. And they'll railroad you to a predetermined outcome through intimidation. They have all of these little tricks and traps. One of them is, let's say you're corresponding administratively, and then you say, I'm the living man, or I'm the living woman. I'm a child of God, and I don't fall under your jurisdiction. Thank you very much for your offer, but offer declined. Okay. So it doesn't matter what the case is. Let's say they go to correspond with you and they write back to your all caps name. Well, that's not you. You're not the legal person, right? You're known as your family name, which is title caps or mixed caps, if you will. But the all caps name refers to a corporation, corpse oration. It's a dead entity. We are the land of the living. We're not the sea of the dead. So if you, as the living, respond to that envelope that comes in the mail and it says your name, sounds like your name, but it's spelled with all caps, that's not you. So you can literally just put return to sender. You can also put it in an envelope, send it back to the one who sent it to you, and say, please forward to trustee. You could say, I would never open up someone else's mail. That would be mail fraud. And so please, here's this paperback, so they know that you know who you are. It's important. And when people say, oh, there's a warrant out, I've got a warrant out for my arrest. It's not a warrant for your arrest. They're looking for the legal person. The legal person is the all caps name. It's not you. After you declare yourself to be child of God, I am the living, I'm spirit-filled woman or spirit-filled man, sentient being, beloved soul, right? So anyway, the more we go over it, the number of times over material equals certainty. So you'll hear us say things and then say it again, but eventually those synapses start connecting in ways that we remember. And it's important that we remember, because if you're under duress, if you're held at gunpoint, God forbid, you aren't going to be able to remember any of this. You know it in your heart and soul, but how do you speak it? So it's good to do a little bit of role playing and develop your standing, develop yourself. Remember that attorneys, they're actors that tell a compelling enough story to get you to believe the plot. Okay, so what do actors do? They memorize their script. When we look at the scriptures, it's a script, and all the world's a stage. Remember your lines. Who are you? If they say this, you say that. If they do this, you do that. That's what they do. That's why they can railroad us. Because if we say this, they go, oh, we got you. Oh, are you double-minded? Oh, maybe you need a mental evaluation. Oh, do you know who you are? Oh, we need to appoint an attorney to you. No, I don't need representation. Oh, are you representing yourself? Now, if you answer yes, they go, oh, you're not competent. You have to stand. You say, yes, I am competent. I'm the most competent person. I'm the most competent one here in this room. When you know who you are, you can't use their words anymore, right? Because if you do, they're going to deem you to be double-minded. So person, the way they mean it, the way we learned it growing up is person means people. But that's not the way the courts see it. The courts see it as person means corporation. You're a commodity, and you can be bought and traded on the stock exchange. You can be held, your body can be held as collateral for a financial transaction. So if you go in and you say, oh yeah, I'm that person, you just threw yourself under their bus. So anyway, we're having a workshop this weekend. If any of you want to attend, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be online and live. So if you want to attend, it's in Pennsylvania, outside of Philly, and you can go to americansinAction.info and learn about it. But in it, we teach a repudiation process where you correct your status on the record. You actually put the federal and state government on notice that I know who I am. And we teach all the steps and how to do that, how to do it properly to where they will recognize it. And then you've got that little safety net in your back pocket because you put it on a court of record, your own court of record. They keep a court of record. Well, guess what? You do too. You keep a court of record. So anyway, it just gets more and more exciting, and you get more and more empowered as you go. And yeah, you're going to have to face some fears and march through those emotions. But the triumphant feeling once you push through it's more valuable than gold.
Absolutely. Well, I have to share something with you guys. So while I was mending, I listened to different shows, try to kind of get a better understanding. I know a lot of people that are watching this will watch this. A lot of them know who Russell J. Gould is. And, you know, I listened to Russell J. Gould 3 or 4 years ago. His series that he had and stuff like that. Well, he was this past weekend, he was in Anaheim, not this weekend, but the weekend previous, I should say. He was in Anaheim, California, participating in what they call the Truth Tour #2. And I like Russell in the sense that he's like all of us. He's very candid, all right? And he doesn't pull any punches, because when you stand in truth, absolute truth, you can do that. You know, people might think it's called ego, but no, it's actually called confidence, because you know where you stand, right? But what I did appreciate about Russell is the fact where he did reiterate at least 10 times, and I won't use the expletives because he has some colorful metaphors that he likes to sling out there, so I won't use those. I'm going to keep this family friendly. But he did say at least 10 times, if you guys think that the military is coming to save you, you're wrong. You're wrong. He said, if the military is in charge and they're just waiting for the opportunity to come save the day, save America, he said they would have already been on the border, saving us on the border, preventing the Chinese and all the other foreign assets, sleeper cells, coming in through the border every single day. I see video after video after video being shared on my wall, sent to me. We have hundreds and hundreds of military-aged males from who knows where, just coming across the border. And you can tell that these are not just immigrants. These are trained mercenaries. I can see it. I can tell. All right. So he said, again, if you think the military is coming to save you, you're wrong. He says the only thing that's going to save you is your knowledge of where you stand in your sovereignty. You better be able to defend yourself as a sovereign person. That's the only thing that's going to save you, because if you're ignorant of where you stand, you're done. He says, you better get on board and start learning these things. And of course, somebody asked him about David Straight. All right, well, I've been a straight shooter, and I don't pull any punches, and I try to be very respectful of other people and what they're doing. But somebody had asked him very specifically about, well, you know, what David Straight is teaching. He says, let me tell you this. It's the only thing I'm going to say. He says, once you're in the agency, you're always in the agency. And he says, I'm just going to leave it at that. That was very compelling. All right. And I've said the same thing for months, that once you're in the agency, it's blood in, blood out. The agency, you don't leave on your own volition. You don't sit there and say, oh, I served in the agency and then I just decided I'm going to go into civilian life. That's not how that works. It's just not. So Russell was very candid, you know, and that's what I like about him. He's a straight shooter. He doesn't beat around the bush. And I don't necessarily know that I agree with everything that he teaches, but there is some validity. And he said, you guys need to start learning everything that you guys at American in Actions are teaching humanity, people need to start listening to this, because there is a right way to do this and there's a wrong way to do this. If you do it the wrong way, yeah, you'll get yourself into a lot of trouble. But if you do it the right way, just like Cohen has experienced and many, many other people have experienced. If I remember right, when I talked to Christos 2 months ago, and also I think, Ananda, you confirmed this to me, and I'd ask you guys, just off the top of your head, how many divine people have you guys, our beautiful brothers and sisters, have you guys helped change their status, and become American state nationals? That's the title we'll use. Sovereign beings is what we like to use. You guys said like over 2,000 people. That is a good track record. That's an amazing track record. But it's not just that. You've helped countless other individuals in civil and criminal issues. You guys have helped them out of those situations before they ever even had to get into the court proceedings. Now, I know there's some people that didn't listen to you and they ended up going into the court proceedings anyways, but you were able to help them navigate through those waters as well. But the fact really remains, when you're always on the side of truth and right, it always prevails. It stands on its own merits. Truth always stands on its own merits. You don't have to embellish things. You don't have to build it up into something more than what it actually is. Truth stands on its own merits all the time. And so there are things that are happening. We know there are things that are happening. Cohen and I talked. We have military assets that are not just in Belgium, or Bulgaria and Poland area. We now have military assets in Ukraine, boots on the ground in Ukraine. That's not a good thing. That is not a good thing. The 101st Airborne hasn't been in Europe, in Eastern Europe, in 84 years. And now they're there. So I ask you guys, all this stuff we're being sold in the truther community about, well, you have the good military versus the bad military. There's no bad military, guys. You may have leaders in the military that are bad, but you have the guys that are just following orders. Needless to say, we have our own blood, our precious blood that's being deployed overseas. And while that's happening, we have foreign enemies, and I don't want to call them enemies, but they're coming in through our borders. We've had 2 reports this week alone, Jay, where we've had over 100 Chinese come into an airport in Texas, and there was also 100 Japanese, all in fatigues, showing up in locations of these airports. And people are seeing it more and more and more. So at the end of the day, we have to be prepared. We have to be prepared. We're going through a transition. And that transition is good. We're going to have some hiccups. And if we're not prepared, we are going to be caught off guard. There is nobody coming to save us. We always say, we're the plan. We've been the plan the whole time, guys. And I know everybody thinks that President Trump is going to come back and save the day and restore everything, and it's going to be sunshine, lollipop, and unicorn farts from that point forward. But that is not how this is going to happen. That's just not how it's going to happen. You guys, you can feel free to chime in and say whatever you want and add to it. Go right ahead.
Well, I thank you for sharing all that, ML. And I think Ananda is still on the call, but she's got to move to a different location because, like I said, we're in a public place, so we never have done meetings and stuff today. But it's a beautiful place, by the way. But let's just unpack that a little bit for a moment there. Beautiful, by the way, Cohen. Well done. Thank you for sharing that recording. Absolutely phenomenal. Proof in the pudding. And that's a microcosm of the macro of what's happening on the planet today. What I feel is happening on the planet today is that there'll be 2 jurisdictions. There's always 2 jurisdictions. There's only one jurisdiction, in my opinion. It's Kingdom of Heaven. And then there's those who have fallen far from Kingdom of Heaven and those who have chosen being the chosen ones to choose to enter into the kingdom of heaven. That's how I describe kingdom of heaven. Those who have chosen to enter into it. Because it's always your gift. Your gift that was given to you by source energy is your freedom to choose. And it's up to you to choose to enter into the kingdom of heaven. Now, when you return to that, remember, put yourself back together again and whole yourself. As we say in Hebrew, the word shalom is to make yourself whole. And then simultaneously it means peace. When you live in peace within yourself, and that's where it begins, the substance takes precedent over form. And now, with that, it's essential. If you can hear me, somebody's playing a piano in the background, so let me know if you can still hear me okay. It's essential that you return to the kingdom of heaven, because when you return to the kingdom of heaven, and this is stated all over biblical principles, when you return to kingdom of heaven, regardless, and this is metaphorically speaking, and I can tell you from experience, when you're surrounded by those with badges and guns, if you know who you are and you know how to stand, they yield. So even if the borders are being infiltrated by those who are from a different jurisdiction, or we don't know who's who or what's what, all you need to know is who you are and stand in honor with who you are. And when you stand in honor with who you are, armies yield, court systems yield, bullies fold. Because the light of God, the light of creative source energy, the light of knowing who you are, for you are made in the image of that light. And that's not just language. That's a reminder of who you are. Superior jurisdiction, highest truth, love. Call it what you will, but it's who you are. And that frequency, that energy, that consciousness overrides armies, overrides the court system, overrides any form manifested in the physical. Therefore, it is essential, just like everybody on the truth tours are saying, regardless of who they are, know who you are. And when you know who you are, then the form takes secondary, and you can walk through the shadow overcome by death, and you can fear no evil, because you truly are standing from within, and the language from your heart will be speaking the truth, marrying with it form language, right, of the law of Babylon, which will collapse in the higher jurisdiction of the God's law, source law, truth. And that's all you need to know. Returning to who you are, and then you can set yourself free from within. So it's all coming together on a macro level, on a micro level. We're witnessing a purification on the planet so that we can return through your own choice, kingdom of heaven. I hope you all could hear me on that. The piano is beautiful, but I hope you could also hear me on that too.
I could hear you, Jay, and it's so interesting. We're set up in different areas in the same similar location, and I had to leave because they were going to start playing the piano. I was like, oh, thank you for letting me know. And so I went into a different area, but anyway, it's beautiful and it's exciting, and I'm glad that there's music, and it feels magical right now in this inner place, this inner peace that I feel like God is igniting the hearts of the many, the faithful ones. And when we realize that it seems overwhelming and daunting when you're looking at the big picture, but when you take it one little chunk of wisdom at a time, one sentence at a time, one word at a time. And we are big believers in that when you're studying, you're putting your nose to the book, If you get to a word that you do not understand, stop and look it up. And don't just look it up from one source, look it up from many. You can use Black's Law 4, Black's Law 11, Webster's Dictionary, Bouvier's. It doesn't matter. And then as you keep going, it gets even more fun. You can start looking at the basis of the breakdown of the sections of each word. N means no, in means no, D means no. When you're insured, it means no surety. An agent is no gent, no gentleman. All these little things that are big, it's like mind-blowing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, let me do this. I'm going to do a shameless plug for you guys, Ananda. You guys see that? This was a gift that I got. Thank you, Ananda. I love you. I appreciate you so much. But it's called The Dictionary That Can Save Your Life. All right. And it is an amazing little book. It's chock full of information. And you guys can get that over there at americansinaction.info underneath educational products, I think is the link. It's only $22. It is money well worth it because, like Cohen was talking about, if you know the right things to say, the wrong things will get you into more trouble and get you into deeper water. But if you know the right things to say, it doesn't happen to you as well. So I'd encourage you guys to go over there and purchase that. That is, in my opinion, when I was with the sheriff's department, I used to hand out pocket constitution books to everybody, all law enforcement. It was amazing because you would think that sheriff's department would be privy to constitutional principles, but they're not. And neither is the police or federal agents. And I'd served on federal task force. These guys, they learned case law, not constitutional law. So, I handed out cases and cases of the constitutional booklets to these guys. And I'm sure probably not very many of them read it. But to me, this booklet right there is right up there with that as something you guys should have with you in your household right there. So thank you for that gift. I wanted to sit there and make sure people understand that you guys have some amazing products. And I've seen somebody in the comments much earlier talking about how they purchased the thumb drive from you guys today, and they're excited. They can't wait, to get the thumb drive and so forth.
This is great. Thank you so much. And, we wanted you to have that because not everyone has time to go through Black's Law 4, Black's Law 6, and all these amazing dictionaries and doing the deep dive into the law. We feel like we're on a fast track. There's a momentum here. So it's important that we learn keywords. What are the most important words? What are the most important phrases? Let's make the path easier for those walking after us. And we've had so many who've done that before us, who've made the path easier. We have a friend up in Seattle who's read the 4,000-page SRI book and all the codes and rules and broken it down into little bite-sized chunks where you can know where the law is that says, hang on, I'm getting a lot of feedback. Hold on, please. Okay, so anyway, but it breaks it down so you don't have to read the whole 4,000 pages. You can go look at the reference book and say, okay, on page 2,442 is the exact line, the exact sentence that says XYZ that pertains to this particular thing that I'm dealing with the SRI. And just playing with the initials. So anyway, but it's fun and recognizing that it's a voluntary system.
So I have a question.
Equity does not aid a volunteer.
I have a question for you. I'm sorry to interrupt you,
please.
Ananda. So somebody had asked about the thumb drive. How much is the thumb drive? I think it's $150. Is that correct? I'm on your guys' site. Is that correct? The correcting your status master class?
Okay, so Jace, Can you jump
Yeah,
off
oh,
that?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
back
just-
feeding.
yeah.
Jay's gonna join me here.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, this should be a lot better.
So much
There you
better.
go.
Hear me
Okay.
Good. Okay.
So the thumb drive is amazing. The thumb drive that we're selling right now, I believe it's retail at $150, and it's a 2-day workshop that was recorded in Asheville, North Carolina, and it's a really good quality thumb drive. It's not just somebody with an iPhone, just trying to capture the moments. So it's very good quality. It goes through all of the steps of the repudiation process, from beginning to through the diplomatic community passport. It also includes the paperwork for the actual steps. And these aren't forms. You can borrow some of the language because great artists always borrow from each other. And, a lot of other people have done some great work before us. So we can use these examples pages to create our own papers and make them our own, really make them personal. And it's fun. It takes something that looks like a Mount Everest and makes it more of a day hike, so to speak. So we just want people to feel confident that they can do this. It doesn't have to be so just overwhelming. It can be reasonable and doable.
Yeah, and we also have the other book, the affidavit booklet, which you can get on our website too, which is basically a synopsis, and there you go, a brief outline of how to draft an affidavit, point by point. And your repudiation process is an affidavit process, so there are certain elements that you need to put into an affidavit to make it valid. And so in that book, we help. It breaks it down in very simple terms. And then there's the other book that we have on the website too that is educational, which is called Project Stay Open, which basically it's like a 100-page book that we drafted specifically a couple of years ago for business owners to stay open legally and lawfully when they were being forced to close down. And using the information, we helped several businesses locally and nationwide stay open, while at the same time not having to abide by any of the mandates, because a mandate's not a law. And then in addition to that, we were helping the customers learn the laws, learn some of the language too. So if they were being refused business, they could quote some of the laws where they were being discriminated against. So going back to knowing who you are is starting with knowing that you are a living, breathing man or woman in the image of the Creator, endowed or gifted with unalienable rights, so that you can express your divinity how Creator image wanted you to be expressed. And no one can override you with that, no matter what mandate, no matter how many weapons they have, no matter what they say, because you are the power of the God I am. And when you live that, then the form follows suit. And so in that regard, it's the most beautiful thing to gain the knowledge as a tool to chip away of the veil that we've all been indoctrinated with and return back to heaven within. And then everything follows suit.
Beautiful. That is amazing. One thing I always forget to do this. So I know that our listeners here, and when they go to your guys' website and they purchase the thumb drive, I know they're supposed to be able to get a discount, but I don't know, are they supposed to put it in the coupon area? And what are they supposed to put in the coupon area? Because I can't remember.
Oh, we have to do, let's see, we have to contact the tech support. We can get this done in the next 24 hours, and it's ML20 to receive the, I believe it's 20% discount, but I have to double check. But I'm pretty sure it's ML20 is the promo code, and then you type that in upon checkout. But just give us 24 hours to get that dialed in, and we'll make sure that happens.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I always forget to tell that to people, as well. Also, on the flip side of that, our True Sovereignty, we have a shop up that we've already set up for True Sovereignty, and it's to generate revenue for the True Sovereignty initiative that we're trying to put together. And so it's a merchandise store, and it's really nice merchandise, guys. And so what I'm going to do is, let me do this so people can get to it. There you go. So I'm going to provide a discount code for Americans in Action for your guys' listeners as well. So that way you'll have your own unique discount code for your listeners as well. So that way when somebody purchases something there, then those proceeds will go to you guys to help give you guys additional revenues, because what most people don't know is you guys work off of donations. All right. You guys really are a non-for-profit, initiative. And so I want to be able to help you guys out as well. And so I've got to put that together and get a discount code for you guys so that way you can promote that so we can generate some additional revenue through the purchase of merchandise for you guys as well. So we're excited about that. So Cohen.
Thank you. That's amazing. And that's what it's about right now. It's like that flow and really supporting one another and upliftment of one another, because we should be abundant in the kingdom of heaven living. It's not like alms for the poor. You know what I mean? We don't have to go around like lowly characters, like beggars. So yeah, hallelujah. And it's amazing. I'll tell you, at one point early on during this whole scamorama, I was kind of freaking out because my other business as a business broker was tanking. And I just said, okay, Ananda, you're not allowed to feel sorry for yourself. You need to get up and be in service to others. No pity pot, right? Yep. And so I got up and I just said, doesn't matter. Don't worry. Just trust. Isn't that funny? That's a theme. Trust in yourself, trust God, get into service to others. Because when we're in service to others, we're not, the mind isn't going nuts on thinking of everything that's wrong and how awful it is and oh, woe is me and all that crap. So I just started getting into service to others. And then all these amazing doors started opening. And then the phone started ringing for trust law classes. Repudiation classes. We were just living our lives. We were just doing what felt right. And so we started doing that and trusting, and then donations started happening. And I mean, you talk about a humbling experience, and I'm sure so many have gone through that over the last 2-3 years now of this dramatic change, dramatic shift into the kingdom of heaven living, trusting God, trusting our instincts, our inner knowing, trusting our fellow man, because we've been taught to not trust our fellow man. And that's a horrible thing. And then also one of the sacraments of forgiveness we need to apply, because men and women we let each other down. And that's a bummer. I mean, I'm guilty. I've let my friends and loved ones down. And then I have to say, I'm sorry on my side of the street and pick myself up and hope they still love me. Mm-hmm. And hopefully learn the wisdom of my errors. And we're all going through it. It's extremely humbling, but if we can remember to have that compassion, one of the other sacraments that Christo teaches and shares, the sacraments of gratitude, forgiveness, compassion, and humility.
Beautiful.
I mean, yeah. So.
And we say, they say God works in mysterious ways, and what's interesting is from one point of view or one perception of what's happened over the last few years, it looks horrible, awful, this and that, and all disorienting. But if anybody's ever done a cleanse, on your physical body, you fast or whatever, all of the diseasement and toxicities come out and looks pretty horrible. And you're like, what? It's getting worse. You're like, no, in actual fact, what's happening is you're detoxifying and you're utilizing these remedies so that it can come up and out. So if you look at what's been happening over the last 2.5, 3 years on a macrocosmic level, you say, wow, Mother Earth is cleansing herself, and we're seeing all the toxicities come to the surface so we can get rid of them. But at the end result of that is, look what's happening. People are awakening, returning home to the God they are. And so really it's a blessing in disguise. It just takes a different point of view to look at it. And those who have chosen to be on their dharma, or as they say in Hebrew, their derech, God says, source says, whatever you want to call it, says, well, guess what? You're not going to be a broker anymore because you've chosen to do something different. But if you just trust me, I'll show you the way, no matter what it looks like, and have thee of little faith, how they say. Well, Moses had to walk up to, as he was splitting the Red Sea, the water came up to here. And then God said, oh, don't worry, I got you back. Right? So you push yourself and you push yourself and you go until you surrender wholeheartedly. And once you surrender, then the pathway opens up, and all of a sudden what appeared to be a horrible thing was just a mass detox to get you in alignment to your true calling. And now you're returning home to the kingdom of heaven of who you truly are.
That's beautiful. That, again, you know, it's standing in your truth, absolute truth. You know, I've let people down in my life, and thank goodness there's grace, because I've exercised a lot of it, you know, and redemption as well. And so, you know, but it only builds and helps us. It builds upon us. And it's a good thing to be humbled once in a while, because it keeps us grounded, you know. And as I always tell, you know, the viewers when I'm doing shows, there's 3 persons you can count on: God, Christ, and yourself. Outside of that, man will always let you down no matter what. And so if you just, it's sad that you have to say, well, I just expect to be let down, then it's not as hard. I don't want to say that, but if you go in thinking, well, you're only human, you're going to make mistakes, you know, it's an old Billy Joel song, you're only human, you're bound to make mistakes, right? So it's okay. And in the days ahead, you know, I post some major bombs on my wall on Telegram, and I'm always posting a lot of information to try and prepare people. And I know it drives people crazy sometimes, because I present both sides of a scenario, and I don't do it because I'm taking a side over another. I'm trying to be fair and balanced, because I'm trying to help people exercise that brain so they can start analyzing, and they can be exercising the gift of discernment on their own, instead of somebody trying to be, because I think people rely on us to give them that information and those truths. They need to learn how to exercise those skills and those tools that become dormant. They need to learn how to exercise those again and sharpen and hone those spiritual tools. Especially in the days that we're going into, you're going to need to be able to have that more than you've ever needed it in your life, because there's so much deception around us as it is anyways. You know, guys, and I'm talking in general, we have truthers out there, sadly, that are disinformation operatives. It is what it is. They're disinformation operatives. And then you have truthers out there that are good-hearted patriots sharing information with their listeners. But the problem is the information that's being shared with their listeners could be disinformation unbeknownst to them as well. And so, again, that's why people need to actually hewn that spiritual gift of discernment as much as they possibly can.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about something that you were saying about the straight shooter. Once you're in, you know, you're in with blood, this and that and the other thing. Well, you can reiterate that with everything. When you talk about trust, everything's a trust. There's nothing that's not trust. If you go back to the original trust, the covenant was made with those who were the quote unquote chosen ones. And that covenant, once you're in with that covenant, you know, you stay true to that covenant. And so those who were staying true to that covenant on a soul level, even unbeknownst to them, they can choose to stay with that covenant, and they will be called. And a lot of what's happening on the planet now is those people are remembering their covenant, because once they're in, but they have to choose. That's the one difference. Source Energy says, listen, I always give you the choice, but, you know, it's probably wise to stick with your covenant, right? And the covenant meaning with the love God I am inside your consciousness, and choosing that. And when you choose, you become a chosen one to return to the one and honor that covenant with thyself. And you enter into that kingdom of heaven. And again, everything else follows suit.
So true. It's so true.
Yeah, and love is a choice, and forgiveness is a choice. And sometimes we can choose to forgive and it doesn't become us right away. You can think it, but do you really forgive? And so, we do test ourselves. There's a saying I love, and it's something like this. You can tell when a wound is healed by when you go to touch it and it doesn't hurt anymore. So that's a way you can check in with yourself to see, have I really forgiven? And when you look at the scenario and you don't have that animosity or that resentment anymore, then you can feel pretty confident that you might have gotten through it. So
Absolutely.
there's a lot of that's needed right now, because boy, oh boy.
Well, there is, we have, the big election today in Israel, and there's already, just like in Brazil, they did the same thing in Brazil that they did to us in 2020 here. Except in Brazil, that El Presidente is not taking it, and he is not, he's fighting for what is right. So that country is in turmoil. Israel, same thing, same situation over there. But these are, for the better part of kind of mile markers, if you will, things to come.
Yep.
They're necessary things that need to happen, and I know that the dark ones are trying to incite humanity into making rash decisions. We shouldn't do that. We shouldn't do that, because that's what they want us to do. We need to keep calm, cool, and collected. But I know that they're trying to do everything they can. And as I've said for 4 months now, I don't believe we're going to see the midterms take place here in the United States. It just can't happen, because one, we've already got irregularities, guys, that are already happening. In the Arizona race for governor, they've already announced accidentally on their Fox News network, the other lady running against Carrie Lake, who is, the one that's on the forerunner, that's backed by Team Trump, so to speak. The other lady, they've already announced that she's won. They made an accident and put it right on the screen of the TV of who's already won the governor race. And the election hasn't even happened yet. It's not till next Tuesday, but they're already declaring who's won that race. They're already showing discrepancies in Pennsylvania and in other states on top of that. But what I've been told, so I've been told that operatives that report both to Democrats and Republicans that are high up in these races, they've already told the Democrats it's going to be a red wave like you've never seen before. So they're already, that you don't, as I said, you don't think the Democrats have got something in plan to prevent and stop? They already know what's coming. They're not going to lose their power base. So they'll do whatever they need to do to prevent that from taking place. Regardless of how that may come down, we already have to make the decision that we're not going to feed into that in a negative way and take up arms and things of that nature as well. We have to take the high road as much as we possibly can on this, because they're setting us up for a trap. And it's a trap that if we go down this path, it's kind of we're not going to be able to return from that. Once we go down that road, there's no returning from back on that road. So we have to be ever vigilant that we don't go down that path that they're trying to drive us down, regardless. What are your guys' thoughts on what's about ready to happen here?
Okay, so I have a feeling that it might go blue in many of the other countries, and it's literally going to come down to we the people in America.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have this huge responsibility that we have been consecrated and that we are ordained for this time, and then we will be the way showers for the rest of the world. I don't mean this in an arrogant way. I just mean that it's like a prescripted, it's going to play out. It's been prophesied. And I apologize, there's a bit of background noise, but I just feel that it's kind of like things are percolating right now, and it's like, oh goodness gracious, we all know how this ends. # God wins. However, we're gonna have to
story ends.
have to go through this tornado. So
I concur on that we could see a rocky road, man. We could see some craziness, but at the same time, get a bag of popcorn. And as long as you know who you are, right, you can be an eye in the storm. And for me, somebody in the comments wrote, Monica, the world is a stage. You know, girl, I concur. So whatever's going to happen, we have a friend, and I might date myself a little bit here, but there might be some of your people who know about WWF wrestling, right? Yeah, I was all over that, man.
I was too in the day.
Man, I'll still do that today, right? But we talk about like WWF is owned by the same one entity, right? But they create the good people and the bad people for the stage and the ring. And all the people are like, oh, Hogan, oh, Macho Man, oh, don't get me started, right? But the point is, they're all just actors. Whether it's the red or the blue, it's a stage. Yeah. The only thing that's true is with Cohen's experience, with my own personal experience, with Ananda's experience, and others on this call, and the people that we help, is who are you? And so it doesn't matter if you want to jump into the game and vote for Andre the Giant or Hulk Hogan or Macho Man Randy Savage, whoever you want, right? That doesn't matter. That's just you getting caught up in the game. But that's you consciously doing it and choosing it. But you can do that as long as you remember who you are. And then you can just watch the storm go around you and you be calm in that. And it doesn't really matter what the outcome is. All that matters is being united with those in love and those that you know who they are. And then you create the heaven on earth and let that other thing just kind of fall away.
Absolutely. Well,
I'm reminded of okay. I said I'm reminded of a dream I had many years ago, and it was I was in an ocean, and it struck my memory or brought this dream to remembrance when you talked about is it going to be a blue wave or a red wave, and this dream I was in. I was, in the ocean. I was kind of being tossed by this storm, and suddenly behind me there was a wave that towered over me. And when I talk about several stories, like this was a skyscraper wave, and it just came from behind me and slammed down on top of me, and like I felt the weight of several skyscrapers worth of water on top of me, and even if I had the next hour to swim up, I wasn't going to get to the top. I was just buried. And I remember having this moment of awareness where I was like, I just came to this awareness of this is not the reality of who I am. And I let go of my body. And I remember I just immediately was above the storm, and I was looking at it from a perspective outside of my body where it just didn't matter the wave that had crashed over my body, because where I really was, where I truly am, is outside of that storm. And this is where I think, Ananda, when you were talking about forgiveness and our relationship with ourselves and knowing who we are is so critical in this moment. I mean, we are literally at the precipice where the wave is cresting, and nobody knows how that thing is going to crash. Just that there's going to be some kind of immense amount of crash. And if this whole reality, in all of its grandiose, spectacular demonstration, if nothing else, if it can crash in such a way where we can come to this awareness that we are not subject to the storm, but who we are is above the storm. There is no weapon formed against us that shall prosper. And when we can become yoked with the divine inside of us, and we can anchor into that highest truth, of who we really are, and we can accept that. You know, that we've carried a lot of trauma through our own failures and through the failures of others directed towards us, and we've carried that pain and that dis-ease that's separated us from the love of God that's within inside of us. And when we can recognize, you know, the key to forgiveness, it's one of the keys of the kingdom. You know, Yeshua said it on the cross. He said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." Right? When we can grasp onto this and realize the storm that everybody is participating in. I mean, by giving it the energy, our own energy, our creative energy, it only makes that storm even more spectacular. And when we can realize, you know, all of the participatory entities that are involved in this storm, it's not because they want to destroy us and destroy humanity and destroy the world. Although there are some of those entities out there, and they are certainly stirring the pot, right? But the majority of the people participating in this storm don't know what they're doing. They don't know how that they contribute to the chaos. And when we can forgive ourselves for our own participatory role in the chaos, and recognize that that's not our intention, that's not what we were put here on earth, and we are in fact here to accomplish what we were put here on earth. And when we are aware of that, when we become aware of who we are above the storm, outside of the chaos, and we can let go of that, then we immediately get back into line with the kingdom of God, and we can make that shift, forgive and redeem and make aliyah. You know, when we can take what has been made less than and then make it sacred by our very connection with it, and recognize that I can take responsibility for this inside of me. You know, it's so empowering to be able to let go of their jurisdictions and stop playing in their world, and suddenly realize that, nope, I have dominion over the jurisdiction inside of me. This is my garden, and it shall blossom and be fruitful with the tree of life. When we can recognize that this is what I have responsibility for, this right here, this pillar of light that burns inside of me. And this pillar of light shall be sacred, and it shall be above the storm. When we can grasp onto that, then this whole storm will have served its purpose, because it will be the very catalyst thing that will allow us to let go of the superficial and anchor on to the truth.
Beautiful. That's so beautiful. It's such a celebration, and so many people are receiving similar downloads all over the world. And I love it when we get together as spiritualists and we compare notes of what we feel in our hearts, and we share it, and it mirrors the hearts of others. And we're like, oh wow, this is amazing. We're receiving these same or similar insights in this collective evolutionary period that we're experiencing. And I feel only divinity coming forth. And it seems like, in my own personal experience, that the birthing pains the contractions are getting closer and closer. ML, you said something, I think it was a week or 2 weeks ago, and you were like, oh, we're getting ready for the crescendo. It's like the final act. And we can all feel it. Don't you anticipate? Like,
Well, here's an interesting phenomenon.
Like, how's this going to go? And I think it's going to be more magical, more wild than our wildest dreams, but in a phenomenal way, in a beauty, blissful kind of way, you know?
WWF main event, baby.
Well, all right. Truth be told, I've migrated over to AEW.
It's all right. We love you, ML. We love you.
I'm a traitor of WWE with AEW because those guys actually sock each other. They actually really hit each other.
Oh wow!
Wow. So that's my testosterone fix, I guess.
I get it.
One thing that's really fascinating too, though, is there is a phenomenon that's happening with our waters, and our waters are receding. And I do believe it has to do with the pole shifts that are happening. The polarity is shifting, which only happens because we're ascending. Our Earth is changing. Our Earth is ascending. It's making that transitional change from its celestial to terrestrial to celestial estate, once again, back into harmonic universe number 2. So once we get back into dimensions 4, 5, and 6, whoa. And I believe that is what is happening with our planet. The polarity is shifting, which is causing the waters to rescind, which is just a natural occurrence itself. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
The first thought that popped into my head, and I'm just, this is like flow, consciousness flow here, okay, is drain the swamp. I'm just visualizing that the swamp is literally getting drained and
Yes.
things are being exposed. And then, of course, my mind, I've got a very vivid imagination. My mind goes to Tartaria and the mud flood. Oh, it's like they're retracting before the spewing. So who knows? I'm not sure how Mother Earth works exactly, but I just honor her. I'm in awe of her and her magnificence. And God Almighty, Most High God, overseeing the whole thing. So this is just sort of stream of consciousness where my thoughts go. Jay, I'd love to hear your insights.
Well, I just love that you bring in just such lighthearted questions, just everyday conversation. Well, I will say this, and again, forgive the background where we're at. There's a lot of celebration of world today. I do believe there's a group ascension happening, and I believe that there's multi-dimensional existence that are happening simultaneously. And those that choose, again, there's that choice, choose to be reminded so that they can remember who they truly are, then they'll tap into that collective consciousness, while simultaneously those who, whatever karmic reasons or soul reasons or whatever you want to call it, are not hearing the call, will go into a different dimensional state of being, all happening simultaneously. So as you enter into a higher state of consciousness and you enter into a collective simultaneous consciousness, the reality will be different. So it could be kingdom of heaven, whatever that looks like, while simultaneously there'll be a denser emotion happening that could destroy itself.
Planet Bob,
we like to call it. Christo likes to call it that. And then there's kingdom of heaven, what that is, and then it's like-hearted, like minds, and we're just chilling, talking about WWF or whatever it is, right? Yep. And that physical reality will be different, and as above, so below. But then as we are mirroring or making that marriage of that collective consciousness, we ascend and we go into the higher realms, and then we return to the oneness that we are. And that's an experience of a consciousness within the heart, the mind, and the soul, and that's a trinity. And that's an entirely different, fully awakened state, which is beyond the physical, while simultaneously existing within this physical and then beyond. So the water is receding, metaphorically, as the water is breaking for a new birth, while the planet is ascending. So there's multiple things happening on multiple dimensions, and I guess the question always comes down to, which one do you choose to be in?
There you go. I love that. Okay. See, I love these kind of conversations that we like to have, because, all right. So, for those that follow the QAnon boards, the Q boards and stuff, I got into that, and then I got out of that because realistically, I can't remember, from a prophetic standpoint, too many of the Q boards that have actually come to pass, but there are those that utilize it as prophetic events to come. But there is a phrase that was utilized multiple times throughout the several years that the Q boards were live and active, and it was watch the waters, watch the waters, watch the waters. Well, that's exactly where we're at right now. That's what they were implying. Watch the waters. Now, I know a lot of other people thought it meant something else. They thought it meant a dozen different other things. But realistically, realistically, what's happening is events that are happening within the waters is something that we should be taking a hold of itself, because it's linked. It's not just by happenstance. And it is this magnificent change that we are going through. And it's like you said earlier, right now, we exist. Our Earth literally transitioned a few years ago into the fourth dimension. A lot of people don't even know that. They don't even really probably can't grasp what that possibly means, but it did happen. Now we're cruising on into the fifth dimension itself once this ascension fully takes place. And there will be a singular event that actually makes that take place. There has to be. It's not, it will happen. Now it's up to debate whatever that singular event is going to be. Of course, there's speculation, whatever that's going to be, but there will be that event that will take place itself. That's why I say, isn't it fantastic that right now we can gauge who from a conscious level is really, stuck behind, so to speak, and who is actually or more open-minded and open-spirited to realizing what's really taking place around them right now versus those individuals that, like today, I was in a banker's office today. And I love to do this to people all the time. I like to throw little things out there just to gauge where their level of intellect is at, their understanding is at. So I'm sitting there throwing some things out to this guy because I'm talking to him about my friend that was a vice president with Wells Fargo back in Salt Lake. The information shared with me months ago. And I said, well, the Smith system is being phased out and the new quantum system is being integrated in. And he's looking at me like, and he didn't say, what? He didn't ask, what are you talking about? He was like, how do you know that? So I just threw some test things at him just to gauge his level of understanding of where things are at right now. And I thought we were on a good track with each other. And then he threw this out at me. He goes, you know what I've always found interesting? He says, if I could go back in time and do my career over again, he says, I would have loved to become a global banker. I'm like, what? And he said, no, I would have really loved to have been a global economist and a banker. I would have liked to have been like the top 5 people to actually quantify how the world's financial system is ran and facilitated. I'm like, well, all right, we're done here. I'm not going to share these nuggets with this guy. He just showed me who he was and where he's at.
Here's tell him to go read the book Dr. Jekyll, the
Jekyll Island, the Creature of Jekyll Island. I did.
And say, oh, so you mean you'd like to play in something that's not even real? Okay, have fun with yourself. When we God bless them. but here's something else. If you want to look at the waters rising, that's also metaphoric for Admiralty law receding.
There you go.
Coming out of the legal fiction, and it's exactly what Moses did. He walked on land, came up to the water split and receded, so he walked on land, brought those who chose to go with him. Again, there's that theme again, chose. Then when he crossed onto the land jurisdiction, and then he entered into the promised land, and the waters drowned all those who wanted to stay behind. Then he walked in the promised land, which is the air jurisdiction, and then he guided those to walk into the promised land, which is the air jurisdiction. He did what Yeshua ben Yosef did, which was, I and my Father became one. And when you look at the word law, land, air, and water, it's also every element that's inside of your chakra system, which is inside of your body. You are both the physical, which is land, from dust of whence you came. That's the land jurisdiction. And then you are air, because that's what you breathe. So just for educational, entertainment purposes only, take a look at what they were trying to put on your face for the last 2 years to deny you your breath. So what is their intention? So now the intention of life is for you to harmonize with every jurisdiction within your own being sovereign. So you unite with your land, which is your physical, your air, which is your oxygen, and your water, which is your liquid that's inside of you, and you're 70% made up of liquid. When you blend all those together, you have your granting of your land patent called your enlightenment, your land, air, and water jurisdiction, where Yeshua ben Yosef says, hey, I and my Father are one, I am sovereign, enter into kingdom of heaven.
Well, exactly. And so we talk about, all right, we're carbon-based life forms for right now, right? But part of this glorious ascension process is going back, becoming crystalline based, which is connected to the ethereal realm, right? This is exactly what we're talking about. You know, it's fascinating that there are I'm trying to think here where I should go with this. So Yeshua, he talked about, the kingdom of God and how we open up that third eye, which helps us in this transition itself. He's talking about milk and honey, and there's this connection between the pineal, the pituitary, and the hypothalamus glands, right? All three of those glands, they secrete a secretion that actually helps you open up the temple, the Holy of Holies, between your eyeballs, right? Between your ears, so to speak itself. And this is what helps us ignite our Christos. This is what helps us in this ascension process. And oh my gosh, it's just profound. It's profound. When I had my sacred experience with the Christ, and the things that were revealed to me, wasn't revealed to me that man-made religion is the way to go, that Christianity or any other of the three main world religions was the way to go. None of that was conveyed to me. The opposite was conveyed to me. And it was very profound, because when he would share information with me about our divine origins, it rocked my world. And I've had to sit on that information for quite a while. Until now, I'm able to share that information because the world is in a different place to be able to readily accept that information and process it in a healthy manner, instead of putting people into a crisis in faith, so to speak. And it is absolutely beautiful to be able to participate in this moment. And, with you guys and with Christos here, it's profound. It is absolutely profound to have it. It's gratifying to have like-minded individuals, brothers and sisters, and people that are watching here as well. They're of the same mind itself. We're trying to be at one mint, atonement at one mint with each other, within ourselves. I'm going to get emotional again. So
I'm emotional too. It's a deeply emotional evening, and just feel the water welling up in the eyes, and heartfelt connection with all of us, and everyone watching, everyone here in this purity, this love bubble. And Jay, I love the way you put that about the law, the land, the air, and the water is what we are, made from the dust. And what are we, 70, 80% water? What'd you say, 70% water? And breathing the air. The land, the air, and the water. And it's so funny because I've said this before during teachings, during class, when somebody says, do you have any legal standing? You can literally say to them, I am the law. The I am principles that Jesus, Yeshua, taught us. And he was a way shower. He was the most profound trustee. He paid a debt he did not owe, so that we could have this wisdom for this time, and we could hold the light. He was way ahead of his times, and he walked on water. I believe he walked on the water jurisdiction. He was a man and he knew he was one with his Father. He didn't buy into the crap that you're lesser than your Creator. You and your Father are one, because that is a way to get us to believe that we are not worthy of the love of God, which is a load of crap, big plate of shit that they've been serving up to the people around the world to get us to believe that we aren't worthy. And I believe otherwise. I believe that Jesus was showing us, yes, you are. Yes, you are. You are what I am, and you will do greater works. I mean, that's a humbling thing to hear. Greater works than Jesus? Whoa.
Greater
So
works
who
than
are
I
we?
am.
Who are we? And yet, they thought they could kill the light of man, right? Or they thought they could destroy the light by killing the flesh and blood man. But then this is how I feel for this time, is that God sent his armies, and we are it. So you could kill the flesh and blood man, but you can't kill the light of God. Always was, always will be, world without end. And so here we are. And our lights are shining brighter and brighter. And we
That's okay.
more and more wisdom and more downloads and insights and power. It's the strength. We are somehow being resuscitated and renewed, because it feels like we're just working on overtime all the time now. And God, the troops are weary, but we're just like, yes, let's do this. Doesn't matter if we're weary. Let's keep going.
So ML and Cohen and everybody watching, this is tag team, bro.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
The towers of power is what they were called. Hulk Hogan and Macho Man.
Towers of power.
Tag team.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the ether, all right? Because it is profound to understand the ether, all right? So the ether really is like this missing link to our final phase of ascension, okay? It's also healing, it's enlightenment to us, but it's really important. It's a really important aspect, I guess, of our universe. And it's something we should really actually be interested in learning about, because, you know, the deep state or the fallen angels, they've done everything they could to keep us away from this very valuable aspect of science. All right. They've retarded us from this absolute truth. Light is like water. And I guess another way of looking at watch the water, it could be a term for using like watch the aethers or the Christ Celestine waves, if you will. Okay. So there really is this amazing, I guess in physics, it's loaded with bad science. And I had the privilege of becoming a good friend with the physics professor. He was actually the chairman of the physics department at BYU. His name was Dr. Stephen Jones. And he broke the 9/11 truth. He actually started the program Scholars for 9/11 Truth a couple of years after 9/11 happened, because he saw things in a completely different way from the laws of physics. And he went from the premise of building 7 and so forth. And then in 2010, he was forced into early retirement after being there for 25 years. He was a world-renowned physicist. But Dick Cheney came in and gave a commencement speech, and then within a couple of days after that, he was given his walking papers. So we know what happened there, right? But I became good friends with Stephen, and he shared with me all of his thumb drives of all of the research he's ever done on 9/11, and it was profound. And I got to go to his house, and he was able to tap into the ether, the free energy, which the Tartarians and that 900-year reign of the Tartarians lived off of. And he showed me by tapping into the free energy, as we call it, but it's really the ethereal realm is what you're tapping into, the energies of the ethereal realm. He says, this is God's frequency. He said, I've lived and taught off of man's laws of physics, but now I've tapped into God's laws of physics. And he showed me he had created this energy device using the ethereal. And he was able to flourish his garden, his flowers. it was just absolutely, I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. And the amount of energy that was being produced by the ether, he says, now imagine a constant frequency that is God's frequency, where no more sickness will be allowed here on this earth, and that the proper growth of vegetation and everything else the way it was meant to be for humanity. He says this will solve all of the hunger issues, the malnourishment issues throughout the world and stuff like that. So he's the one that opened me up, and this was a couple of years before I had my experience with the Christ. So he's the one that opened my mind up about the it there and how important it is for us, and what it really meant. But again, you know, I think Tesla, he was the one harnessing that, and Tesla was a very divine individual indeed. He was very divine, and I think we may have him amongst us again, if you will. You know, but that'll be for another time itself. But you know, the ether is made up of 5 elements that is given to us by God, right? So we know we have water, air, earth, fire, but the most important one is called the celestial ether realm, right? And this was as the mighty archangels, they helped us, and to be able to tap into all 5 of these elements and pull this energy from this fundamental matter. This is absolutely amazing, because this is what I think the deep state has been trying to do for a long time, is they've realized above us, the firmament, well, where's the ethereal realm? It's above us as well, right? So they've been trying to crack through the firmament. They haven't been able to do that as of yet, because the ethereal, it repairs itself. No matter how much damage that man tries to do to it, it repairs. Wow. That was interesting. Did you see that flash of light? There it goes again. I can't help it.
Yeah.
We are having so much fun, and I mean it's almost comedy right now. There's people walking by. There was earlier this little kid came and like knocked the computer, and then a little dog coming up and sniffing our legs, and like it's just so funny. We're having this whole experience while we're sitting here.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
And I'm getting goose pimples of what you're talking about.
Exactly. It's like.
And they're celebrating the Bob Marley at next door, and you're going, whoa, turn that down, buddy.
Oh,
it's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
It is. It's just like a whole experience.
By the way, here's something cool. The word Shemayim, right, in Hebrew means heaven, but it has within it the word Mayim, which means water. Mm-hmm. So Shemayim and Mayim are the waters above and the waters below. Watch the waters, watch the heavens. You can play with that one.
Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, I can remember this time a year ago, I was on another person's show, and he had a huge following. And I'd be going down this path, and this is like over his head. He's just like, what are you talking about? So you just sit there and listen to me like this, and then this light, like what just happened here, this bright light.
Yep.
And, oh my gosh. What can I say?
It's good times. This is good times.
So another phenomenon that's been happening here while we've been enjoying this amazing evening is the lights are flickering. And I keep looking, I'm like, oh, the lights are flickering. Like, it feels like, I don't know what, just a lot of like stimuli and communication and joy and a lot of sparkly light energy.
You know what it feels like, ML? High frequency. That's
high frequency. I like that. I like that.
Oh, yeah. I love it. What I love about
it's electric.
Is all I'm looking at the comments, and the viewers are seeing it, and they're like,
Yeah, and everyone's commenting. You're so vibing,
Yeah,
ML.
Healing by Intuition says high frequency.
High frequency.
That's
That's it. Oh,
Bob
this
is
is hilarious.
alive.
Bob is alive.
Oh my
That's from Morse
goodness.
code,
That's
baby.
consciousness. Consciousness will take care of what needs to be taken care of. So we don't need to worry about it.
Yeah,
Not our
absolutely.
problem.
Yep.
Yeah. Hi.
Oh, well, it's been 2 hours, and I know, so we'll wind it down, but I am so grateful for you guys tonight. I knew tonight, as always, would be a very beautiful and spiritual divine evening. It's like family reunion once a week. We get to have a family reunion, and everything, it just, I always look forward to this every single week because it's just, it's beautiful. I mean, there's no words to describe what takes place here within the confines of this realm, shall we say, right? It's beautiful. It's absolutely glorious and beautiful. So what I'd like to do is I'll give the closing prayer tonight. I haven't prayed and given a closing prayer for a while. But if you guys have any last words that you'd like to impart upon us before we close out, go right ahead.
I just feel the sacrament of gratitude in my heart and soul. I'm so very grateful. I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for the soul recognition that we all have, for everyone who's online tonight and vibing or sees this later, that we resonate to this higher truth within ourselves and we come together in that unity and that spirit of goodness and goodwill toward men and women, all living beings, all sentient beings. So just an absolute heartfelt prayer of gratitude.
And the love is pure and it's beautiful, and Christo's presence is here with us, sending his love. And Cohen, we're going to share what you said so beautifully about him, and he's looking forward to that too. So it's win-win-win all over the place. And by the way, Christo, ML, that liquid that you talk about, Christo's taught about it. It's called Salma. That comes when you reach the highest. It's Salma. It's the nectar of consciousness. So yes, his presence, Maddie's presence, and then all the presence that are here. We are, as we say, Hashem Echad. We are one in the love.
Awesome. Beautiful. Brother Cohen, you got any imparting word? I love it. Enough said.
I love it.
May the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you with grace, and may his hand of favor be on you and bring you peace. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you with grace, and may his hand of favor be on you. Shalom, amen.
Thank you. Beloved, holy, eternal Father, Mother, God, creator of all, and our families of the divine Christ, we now come to you in prayer and enter into your divine presence. We pray with all of our crystal hearts for all angelic humans and all living beings and creations to be freed from enslavement and harm. We humbly ask you to allow your perfect spirit and the perfect light, the life and the love of our eternal Christ to radiate in every cell of our divine DNA. Thank you, thank you, thank you. May we forgive ourselves and our fellow men for our complacency in America in allowing this great nation to be overrun with evil. We ask your spirit within us to forgive us. Many times we have done nothing while Satan's workers, in their attempt to rule this world, have taken away the unalienable freedoms that you gave to us. O God of the eternal light and creator of human races, King of wisdom, and the one of source of all, we rejoice that your perfect spirit lives within us. Thank you. We ask you now for the host of heaven to come and stand against the evil forces of the darkness. We ask that you impart your spirit to awaken our earth and all of humanity to truth, and that they shall pray for this nation. We ask that all people shall begin right living according to the laws of God and creation. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So be it. So be it.
So be it.
So be it.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I love you guys.
Love you.
Ah,
We love you too.
So beautiful.
and we love all of you guys. And I forgot to give a shout out to the moderators. Thank you, Divine Women, as always, Cookie, Kathy, Healing by Tuition, Sam, CB's daughter, Shelly. Thank you, Divine Ones, for always helping us out in these programs. And thank you to everybody that tuned in tonight. And for those who tuned in for the first time, thank you. We're glad that you found us. And we hope that you'll join us again. I'm sure we'll be back here again next week. So you guys, we love you so very much, and we're grateful for all of you. Thank you.
So beautiful.
Thank you. Bye.
See you later.
Love you.
Love you.